Did Jeffrey Epstein perform occult rituals? Was his island temple on Little St. James used to make satanic offerings? Why would the world's elite political, business, and scientific minds gather on an island to perform such an act when these very same people tell us to go to church or be smart, listen to science, and be an atheist without the hopes of God? Now, when conspiracy theorists take a look at Epstein's Island's temple, they immediately jump to the conclusion of Satan, fallen angels, Baal, Moloch, Lucifer. These simple associations sound good for rallying against the elite, but fall short in delivering us the facts. The truth is, Epstein was conjuring something far worse than any of names listed. The evidence found on the island suggests an occult operation that the Bible cannot help us uncover. We are going to need forensic occultism to decode Epstein's Island temple. I am Solomon Pakal. I am a historian. I have been a practicing occultist for over 20 years. I had found Jesus and rejected all magic, then came back to magic after realizing that both the church and mystical texts are lying to us. Join me today if you are tired of simple superstitions surrounding this island temple. If you are serious about the mystery surrounding Little St. James, let us begin. If you want to support my work and research, subscribe to my Substack, the Mystery Codex. The secret society that is mentioned directly in the latest release of the Epstein files is what is known as the Zodiac Club. The Zodiac Club was founded in 1868 and is still active today. It limits membership to exactly 12 very elite individuals. Each adopt one of the zodiac signs, but it's not necessarily related to their birth sign. It has included people like J.P. Morgan, who held the sign of Libra, and then upon his departure, upon J.P. Morgan's departure, I believe it was his son that inherited the sign of Libra. It was another Morgan, but unsure if it was exactly his son. Nelson Aldrich was a Republican senator and key architect of the Federal Reserve Act, who has been a member, and the members are referred to as the signs. So in an email in the latest release, there's an unidentified person messaging Epstein from 2010. And he says, just got a note from Bob Peary, who asked me if I thought Murray Gell-Mann would make a good candidate for the Zodiac. There are obviously no minorities or women allowed. Interesting point. We know this is a direct reference to the Zodiac Club because this unidentified person goes on a rant, essentially, about the basic nomenclature of this society. So again, Zodiac Club, a little context, it's 158 years old, Manhattan-based, very private members society. The guy he's talking about, or the guy this person is talking about, Murray Gell-Mann, was a Nobel-winning astrophysicist and Epstein friend who signed his infamous birthday book, the one that Trump talks about, A Wonderful Secret. And Peary was a prominent Wall Street investment banker and former head of Rothschilds, Inc. So the full quote from the email is, as you know, it's one of those last secret society types. The Zodiac is one of the really cool ones. There are 12 members at any one time, and it is still very secret. They do really cool stuff, but mostly since they are all very old, it's just dinners in exotic locations. I can't tell you all 12 members because I don't know who they all are, but I know former Federal Reserve Chair, now deceased, Paul Volcker, is one. Some guy named Howdy, whose family owns Stuyvesant Town, Bob Pine, and I think Tom Brokaw. Bob represents Cancer, the sign, not the month. you are a member until your death, but if you get senile, they put you into what is called eccentric orbit and not invite you to any further meetings. Anyway, the only way to get in is if someone dies. There are obviously no minorities or women allowed. Peary, Volker, and Gelman have all since died. It's unclear how Gelman's ancestry may have affected a possible candidacy at the Zodiac Club circa 2010, since such very high-etch establishment social clubs have historically excluded Jews. So again, kind of murkying the waters here. Peary publicly acknowledged the club's existence during his lifetime, though, when he was interviewed by Gothamist magazine in 2013. He described the club as, quote, never secret, only private, confirming it meets for dinner on the last Saturday of the months with the letter R in them, or specifically November through May. So this gets you asking, what could the letter R possibly stand for? Well, in this email that Epstein is exchanging with Peter Thiel, he opens up by saying, underlined here, as you probably know, I represent the Rothschilds. And this is obviously problematic because Peter Thiel is pretty insane. Look him up about his whole philosophies on the Antichrist and things like that. And what he's doing with Palantir is essentially like a Big Brother, if Big Brother can assassinate you with a drone. So very problematic. However, the more digging I have done, I thought maybe Epstein was actually blood related to the Rothschilds, and it actually doesn't seem so. That's kind of a whole nother story, and it actually makes things a little scarier that the Rothschilds actually came to him for help and actually paid him for his services, an eccentric amount. But it seems along the public records of what you can find, that after years of providing financial advice for the Rothschilds, and not many years, by the way, he kind of became this unofficial gatekeeper for the family dynasty. There are a plethora of elitist conspiracy theories that involve the Rothschilds. You can look those up on your own time because it really is just too much to cover. But I think the Rothschilds are worth kind of bringing to the discussion as we round out this symbol and we get to the major conclusion, tying up these peripheral ends, because the Rothschilds are relevant to this kind of elitist meeting place with some kind of sexual deviancy. And that was illustrated in 1972. The Rothschilds had what they call a surrealist ball, of like a dancing ball. It was a masked get-together based upon surrealist artwork at their famous mansion outside of Paris. And actually, Salvador Dali did a lot of the designs for these high-profile financiers, politicians, celebrities that attended this event. It was a primary aesthetic choice for Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. Eyes Wide Shut has a lot of conspiracies surrounding it because, you can just look it up, but there's a lot of Epstein parallels here. There's a lot of evidence to suggest that Kubrick was kind of, he was privy to what the elitists were doing. Kubrick himself was a very Gnostic film creator. Many of his films had to do with some kind of encounter with the numinous, whether it be enlightening or terrifying. But we cannot deny the parallels that may have been foretold in Eyes Wide Shut and then relate them to what the Epstein matter is, especially when Kubrick's uncut version of the project was scrubbed by the studios and Kubrick protested. 4 days later, he ended up dead. It's just something to kind of keep in mind, when dealing with these shadowy figures like Virginia Giuffre, who was an Epstein victim. As soon as she started getting some kind of success with her case, she somehow mysteriously, for inexplicable reason, commit suicide even after being successful in her case, most notably against Prince Andrew. A relevant theory on Eyes Wide Shut is that Kubrick based the character of Ziegler off of the then very successful socialite financier Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was a very big figure in the New York financial sphere and social sphere in the 1990s in New York City, which is also the place, the setting for Eyes Wide Shut. And there's a lot of theories, including Kubrick's wife that would, live past him, suggesting that Ziegler was based off of, again, very successful bachelor financier at the time, Jeffrey Epstein. I do not want to play some kind of projection game, but when you do watch the film now and relate it to the events that have transpired, it is kind of eerie to see how similar these characters actually are in their demeanor and how they operate in the film and in life. And one more thing I kind of want to nip in the bud that's making rounds is the Ball account. The official story is that the line reads ball.name for the account for Wachovia Bank, directly above the lines for where a routing and account number would be. So in standard banking wire forms, this field is almost universally labeled bank name. So I do think that this is probably some kind of computing error. From everything I have researched, it's said because the letter A is easy to be confused with the letter N, and the letter L is easy to confuse for the letter K by the computer standards. And here's the thing, though, as an occultist, things manifest in coincidences. I don't believe that Jeffrey Epstein named his bank account Ball, nor do I believe that this operation is Ball worship. And the real reason is because their central effigy or their central manifesto symbol, as we're finishing digesting, why not just make it Ball? That's the thing with evoking spirits and whatnot. You need a deliberate effigy or symbol instead of being around the bush, or an ideal setting or something that directly contacts the entity. If it was not, why not just do Ball? It's not a complete, even if it incorporated things from Ball, it is not a one-to-one, this is Ball. I think what they have is a highly more sophisticated take on metaphysics. It's a much more eclectic kind of approach. But I do not believe he named the bank account Ball. I believe it is a mistake. However, as occultists, is a mistake, coincidence, synchronicity? Where are we drawing the line there? I think almost serendipitously, it is kind of a wink from the universe to provide a pattern, a thread, for us to kind of see where it leads. Unfortunately, for people that are just looking for confirmation bias, they will see Ball, and that's where it begins and ends. That's the antagonist, and that's where they're going. If you want a personalized tour into the powers of Mayan astrology, book your birth chart reading with me today at MayanMysterySchool.com. Over the course of our sessions, we will deep dive into your innate spiritual qualities, subconscious instincts, how to maximize your relationships with others, analyze your darkest shadows, and outline a path towards your greatest good, prosperity, and highest quality of life. Here I package it all up for you in a custom 60-page plus ebook, as if it's a personally channeled grimoire made just for you, complete with illustration, information, instruction, and ritual prompts for the next 5 years, all based upon your Maya telluric astrological timing. This is unlike any other manifestation, magic, esoteric, or occult coaching program or course program out there. The depth, rarity of Mayan ancestral practice expertise, and actionable results makes your Mayan destiny divination a one-of-a-kind experience. Due to the immersion involved, I can only take a few clients on at a time. I look forward to working together.